All right, recording has started. I'm putting the detailed agenda as well in the chat for everybody to follow along. Reminder, the script is at the bottom of the detailed agenda to support you as far as when we'll have different motions. We've got everyone's first and last name. And then I do want to flag we have Sabine Martin with us. Is it Martin or Martine, Sabine? I think it's Sabine Martin. Okay, she might have other.
It's Martin. Sorry, it's
Yeah,
Martin.
no, you're fine. I just want to make sure I pronounce right. So we have Sabine Martin, who is one of our amazing journalists from the Wisconsin State Journal. And so we're really grateful that they're here to help us to continue to inform the public. Fireflies has started, and with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dan.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chelsea. It is 6:05 p.m. here on Tuesday, August 11th, so I'll officially call this meeting of the MMSD Citizens Naming Committee to order. And we're going to proceed with roll call. To verify attendance, we need 7 of 12 members in attendance to meet quorum. So, Chelsea, I'll let you handle roll call.
All right, Dan Collins,
Here.
Ashley Bleeker, Bruce Folger,
Here.
Glenn Karlov,
Present.
Gloria Castillo, Hector Portillo, Jaya Mullenbrunch,
Here.
Johnny Milton Jr.,
Here.
Cami McWilliams,
I'm here.
Kristen Bray is absentee, Megan Collude is absentee, and Stephanie Bees Patton.
Here.
All right, we are at quorum.
Okay. Excellent. Everybody received the agenda in chat. If you haven't had a chance to breeze through it, I think we're all aware that what's happening today is a finalization vote. Do I have a motion to approve today's meeting agenda as it's been presented?
I make a motion to approve today's agenda.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Let's do a hand raise. I think we just need 1, 2, 3. That is a majority. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. So the agenda is approved as presented. Thank you all. We'll move into the public comment and our welcome grounding section here.
And with that, I'd like to also introduce Bobby Lee Simpson, the new principal of Elvehjem's on the call. Bobby, is there anything you'd like to say to the committee?
Honestly, I think that you all are doing an extraordinary job with this process, and so I'm just thrilled to be a part of this history in making, and I don't know, march on, I guess.
And for those who might have hopped on a little later, Bobby's having difficulties with tech. There's some different updates going on in the district, so that's why we can't see her, but we're so glad that she's able to join us for this momentous occasion. And with that, moving on to public comment. And so as a reminder, all the comments are linked into the agenda. And so we did have one person sign up to speak to the group. And I want to acknowledge this person. His name is Ryan Milner. However, he did not leave an email for me to send him the Zoom link. And when I called the number he provided, I was not able to connect with that number. And so he was in support of Gender Equity and Inclusion School for Youth. That's what he wanted to come and speak about as far as what he filled out on the form. And then you can see his actual, what he wrote on the form in that link. And so Ryan, if you're listening, once you see this recording, please feel free to reach back out to me and we'd be happy to make sure that you do speak. The next opportunity would be the 24th at the board meeting, and I can make sure that you get the information to either speak in person or to speak over Zoom, as it's a hybrid meeting. As far as written statements, there were 2 that were received. One was in support of Ada Deer Elementary School, and this was submitted by Representative Sheila Stubbs, highlighting Ada Deer's legacy as an Indigenous scholar, activist, and the first woman to lead the U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs. And then the second comment was in support of renaming the school Jeffrey Clay Erlinger. Moving on to our homework. Our homework was reviewing all the feedback. And so there was an additional, I I think it was like 5 additional comments came through. I highlighted them in yellow for you all so that you were able to see it. And you were able to quickly take your eyes to it. And then also if you had any absentee requests to let me know, and you do have 2 members that do have absentee. Checking in on ways of working. Do you want to take that, Dan?
Sure, yeah. So yeah, first of all, thanks to those in the public who submitted comments. It's informative. It's going to help us make a decision here as we do our final scoring and our final votes. So our ways of working, these are kind of the core values of this committee. There's 11 of them. Number 1 is that we anchor in policy 6700. That's our North Star. Number 2, prepare before you arrive. We've all done our homework. Number 3, share the floor. Just make sure there's no one voice dominating the room. Number 4, respect diverse perspectives. Pretty self-explanatory. Number 5, no walking quorums. So if you have anything committee related, you say it here in this meeting, and no back channel conversations. Number 6, one unified voice. Very important today as we do make a decision as a committee that no grumbling and mumbling after the vote. We proceed together as a committee. Number 7, absolute duty to disclose. So if you have any conflicts of interest, we would ask that you share them prior to speaking, making comments about perhaps supporting or opposing a name. Number 8, trust the process. Pretty self-explanatory. Number 9, protect data integrity. That just means we'll be careful about the way we're sharing information. We'll keep it within this group. And number 10, respect the clock. I think we're allowed 2 hours today, so let's see if we can stay within that. And then number 11, bring positive, liberatory, and joyful energy. Self-explanatory. And we'll move on to hour 1, which is updates, deliberation, and round 1 voting. Chelsea, take it away.
All right, so as far as updates, I did ask our communications department to publish on our website. When I had checked earlier, I hadn't seen it on there yet, but thank you to our friends at the Wisconsin State Journal. There was an article, and I linked it in here, in which they were able to get the average amount that it costs to rename a school, which was around $30,000. So if you continue to field those questions from your neighbors or anyone else in the community, you can direct them to that article. You can also let them know it's around $30,000. And then it should be on the website very soon because the comms team has been good about updating that. I also have an update regarding the policy. So the last time we spoke, there was a question from, this actually came from Chavez, but knowing that we're running the same flow for all 3 schools, the question from Chavez was, if we don't recommend up to 4, at that time, the information we have was that out of the 4, 2 needed to be deceased prominent names. And so if there were 3 or 2 or 1, does that then, how would we make that determination? I checked in with legal as we talked about, and legal actually has given me the feedback that because this is not a new building, this is an existing building we're renaming, we actually don't have to make sure that we have prominent deceased individuals as a part of our up to 4 list. So if we submitted 4, it's those top 4. There is no longer this half of them have to be a name, because the policy states it's only for new buildings, not those that are already existing that are just being renamed. And same if it were 321, we would not have to make sure we included a prominent deceased individual's name. Let me pause there if anyone has a question about that, if that was confusing at all. All right, hearing none. And then also then thinking through our discussion for this evening, knowing that we had a couple new comments, knowing that I did want to just go over the metrics as far as the total feedback. That was a great question posed by the chairs yesterday. If I could include that and just helping to think about the scale of community input thus far across our names. And so I'll go over those things quickly. And then also if Gail, our amazing researcher, would have anything to add. So with that, I'm going to go into our document. I'll share screen. So if you don't want to have to go between screens, or if you're on your phone, it'll be easier. Okay. So here is our master spreadsheet that we've been going back and forth with regarding all the proposals and the research. And so as a reminder for this meeting, I did fill in the scores for our final list the first time we scored. We'll be updating this with number 2 and number 3. As far as total feedback, this is where, and if this is too small, this is as big as I can get it. So I'll drop it in the chat too for you. Let me do that right now in case it's too small for you and it's easier to see on your screen. And so based on our final list, these would be the total number of submissions and then the total number of comments to date regarding those submissions. And then the total comment column is just any input we would have received, whether it was a submission or a comment regarding these names. And we had talked about before, and I know Dan will add more to this, that the renamings are not a popularity contest. There's a lot of different reasons why. We hear more about some, not about others. We have a very diverse community. That's also why we have a diverse committee. And it's important to still know just the scale of what community input has looked like, because this is a community-driven process with you also as community members. I also, like I said, updated the public comment. And so since the last time we would have looked at public comment, there were an additional 4 comments that were made. And then I did check in with our comms department, and folks did leave comments, not through my form. So I never saw them and didn't have access to them. And so our comms team did an audit for us, which I appreciate. And so there were a couple that were submitted via other platforms. And those other platforms could have been Let's Talk, for those of you who know Let's Talk. We also have Peachtree now, which is like our parent portal, right? Like there's also just emailing. You can just email too. And so those were the additional comments. Some of those comments were about names that we're no longer in considering anymore. So they would have been back before then. Let me just double check I'm not missing anything else. That was just a review of what we had that was new. Gail, did you have something to add to support our discussion? Any new information from you or anything you'd like to share?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Gail, we can hear you.
Okay, you can't see me. I'm good, actually, unless anyone has any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Gail? Not at this time. Gail, thank you as always for your
I'll ask one question.
Oh, go ahead. Glenn.
We wondered if the use of the word "dejope" was, if that was, if we got any feedback on whether it was appropriate to use that term in the Ho-Chunk language, or deriving, from their language and the name of the area before.
So I have not received any feedback from anyone in the community that would not be what they would want. However, if it does end up being one of our final choices, I am going to make sure that I check in with our teacher leader, who leads our Native American studies and is also our district expert, who's been supporting the Lindbergh process to make sure that we're honoring our Indigenous neighbors. Sabine, I saw you come off mute. Was there something you wanted to add to that? Okay, I guess not. Maybe it was just a mistake. And so with that, also as a reminder towards the email, I did also include Gail's audit again in our documents, because she had shared that with us last week after she gave us an overview of what historically renamings had looked like for MMSD. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Chair, for the discussion.
Yeah, so in our agenda here, we've allowed ourselves 10 or 15 minutes to discuss the public feedback. Now, we've already done this in a past meeting, so some of this might be rehashing or updating the conversation. I don't know if anybody feels like they need more time to process this. Again, the spreadsheet that Chelsea's linked most recently in chat is the first 3 tabs on there are pretty insightful in terms of kind of broad overview and then into the granular individual comments. So before we get into discussion, I don't want to jump too early into speaking unless somebody has something to speak about. Does anybody need a few minutes to just go through, skim, update their knowledge base on this on the public comments? I'd be happy to carve out a few minutes for a little bit of live homework here if anybody needs it. No shame either. Okay. So nobody needing more time. Let's dive into it. So anybody have takeaways about the public comments, patterns you've noticed, things that surprised you, anything you'd like to add to the add or help color some of those comments with your own commentary or narrative? Feel free to raise your hand or simply start speaking. Okay. Sounds like we've all done a good job independently, privately processing the comments. Um, I don't think, well, that's going to put us way ahead in the agenda then, Chelsea. We can move into voting and tie breaking. Just, I guess maybe it's worth pausing here because the next thing that we're doing is voting. So this is it. It says speak now or forever hold your peace. Um, this isn't a time to necessarily campaign for one name or another, but again, if you want to color any of the feedback with your own thoughts, feelings, interpretation, analysis, again, it's now or never. We're naming a school here, folks, so this is kind of exciting and fun. And I just want to make sure we're not um, just marching through this too methodically. Yeah.
Um, I guess I just wanted, this is more a question that maybe Chelsea will answer later. But this first vote, it narrows down to, was it 6 or 8 names?
8.
8 names. Okay. And then can you remind me again, like, I just have this because there's so many school, or since there's 3 schools and there's several names that overlap.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling like, so obviously, if I feel strongly that at least one of the 3 schools should be named like one of these names across, like
Yeah.
we put it forth for Elvehjem, and I guess I just want, like, what are your thoughts on how that process would work out? It's like, I don't like, yeah, you
Yeah.
see, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And again, this is the first time the district's ever done more than one school at a time. So this is, something that's very new. So this is where the rankings are going to be super important because while there are a couple names that are shared across all 3 and then a couple that are shared across 2, the district, the district administration and then also the school board is going to get a finalization package from me. And in the finalization package, even names that are shared across will show where they ranked by those committees. So Jeffrey Clay Erlinger is across all 3 schools right now as a part of our final vote. If for some reason he were number 1 for Elvehjem, showed up as number 3 for Lindbergh, and number 4 for Chavez, the school board would see exactly also how it ranked within those schools, which then should hopefully help them make their decision. They're also going to see overall how many comments there were for those names across the 3 schools, right? Just like how I gave you all the total number, they're going to see, what does it look like as far as the amount that the community has been in support of names or not. And then also the process is not over as far as folks can still come to the board meeting and advocate for names. They can also submit written comment for names, and they can also do Zoom testimony as a hybrid option for the meetings. I'm also purposely turning everything in next Monday, right after our Chavez final vote meeting, because I want to, in fairness, give the board a week to consume things, to also come back if they have questions for the chair, if they have questions for me, because this is going to be a really hard decision. It's always a hard decision on what to rename a school. They take it so seriously. And if we do have shared names, I know that they'll want to make sure that they are picking a name that really fits within the school community based on the data and information they're receiving.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, great question.
Any other thoughts about public comments um, ahead of a first round vote here? Okay. Hearing silence.
All right, I guess we'll go to the process. They're like, you know what? Chelsea has taken up enough of my summer. She ain't taking not one more minute. No, I'm just playing. But y'all
Well,
are
it is worth mentioning that we've done this before, so it's not like we're just not discussing this. So
oh,
just for the
100%.
record, if
Yeah.
anybody in the public happens to be watching this, it's not like there wasn't any discussion before. This has happened
Oh,
in
yeah.
prior meetings, so maybe we've simply exhausted this conversation, and this is a good last, a fail-safe last chance to offer discussion if needed, and there appears to be none needed. So.
I agree with that. I think you and Chelsea have been really good at setting the rules and really taking us front of mind to the public sentiment and making sure that decisions are being made within the guidelines set. I'm quiet because I'm up to speed with where we are, but yeah, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you all. I mean, 2-hour meetings every week in which it was robust discussion, robust review every single time, as well as follow-up emails. Like you all have been a dream. All three committees have been dream committees. So, all right. So with that, let's go into the process. So I made a new flow chart. I know how y'all love flow charts, just like me. And so we had talked about it the last time, what the process was going to be. However, the platform had not been approved by the district. And so I did use an approved platform by the district that also we don't have to spend money on. So I know our taxpayers, including myself, I'm happy for that. And so because this is my first time doing this and the first time that the district has done this in this way, and it's with a platform that was not the original platform, I just always thank you all in advance for your graciousness and your patience, and then also so much gratefulness to our chair, Dan, and the rest of the chairs who've helped really support what this looks like. So we'll go into a Google form, which we're all used to. I did send that video that just reminded you of, as far as like what the Google form, what it would entail. It was not the exact Google form. You'll go in, we're going to do a practice round together first, like we did always with the first time. Best education way, right, Stephanie? We always practice first before the big game, right, Coach Milton? And so with that, we're going to then go in, you'll rank up to your top 8. You can only do one for each ranking number. You can't do more than one, please don't. And then from there, we'll get the results. Then we'll go into recess. Dan and I will then review the results. I'll have them ranked. Then we'll review what the ranking looks like. We'll go into discussion about that top 8. Then we'll go into then the second round of voting, which then would be your top 4, which you'd be going into that after discussion, just as far as like, this is where we're at with our top 8, very similar to what we did with our scoring the very, very first time we scored. Then you all will put in scores again. And the exact same way that we would have done for the top 8. And then I'll get the results. We'll go into recess again. Dan and I will prepare the final results for whatever the up to top 4 will be. We'll review the top 4. And then you all will do a formal vote on what your final list is. If you want to go with the top 4, or through discussion, you maybe only want to do 3 or 2 or 1. It is entirely up to you all and what you believe is right. We do have a tiebreaker process. Thank you very much to Dan. Dan was thinking about this way ahead of time. And so we've got a real foolproof tiebreaker process in case we do see some names maybe have similar scores. We did not run into that though at all with the first round of scoring, but we'll see. We're prepared for if it happened in the second round. Any questions, or do we want to go into the practice and kind of see it and live it, and it might make more sense, and then I can do questions? That sounds good. Great. So for practice, I'm going to drop it in the chat, and if you're following along, I'm about halfway down page 7 of the agenda, but I'm going to drop it in the chat for you. We are going to be doing this as a practice in picking the ice cream flavor for Elvehjem. All right. And so I'll share a screen and I want to make sure everybody is seeing this. You should be seeing right now on your screen MMSD renaming vote, ice cream practice, Elvehjem. Is everyone seeing that on their computer? If you're not, please say no, and then we can troubleshoot. Johnny, do you need something? I just saw you unmute.
No,
You're good? Okay, great. All right, so what you'll do, it's very similar to our form, except you're not putting in rubric scores. You would type in your email. So I'll model for you all. Here's my email. There's my first and last name. And then I will have you affirm that you are casting your vote in adherence to our policies and rules. And so you would check the box that you are following our policies and also following our process. Then from here, you would scroll down and all 10 names are listed. But in this case, it's ice cream. And so my favorite ice cream is chocolate chip cookie dough. And so chocolate chip cookie dough is number one. Then from there, I'll just go quickly and click on them so you'll see. So you'll scroll up and down. You will then, out of your 10, you would pick your top 8. So the most important thing is that you're making sure that each column has 1 vote.
Except for 2 columns, to be clear.
Except for,
In our case, there's 10 names and we're ranking 8 of them.
correct.
Yeah.
Column, oh, you mean, I was thinking rows. So then these 4 rows
Oh.
would not have anything. Yep,
Yeah.
it's okay, Dan. Yep. So you would make sure then that each column had a number, not a number, I'm sorry. Each column had been checked, but you will have empty rows because it's only the top 8. Okay.
I don't see
You
butter pecan. I'm a little upset about that.
So I actually love butter pecan, but for timing purposes, Johnny, I just went in, but I made sure chocolate chip cookie dough was number 1 because that is my number 1. Mint chocolate chip is actually my number 2, but we're moving along here. And so then you would also do your final review of your ballot completeness and confirm your vote like we did the first time. So I've reviewed, I have followed the policies, and then I would click submit. You will then get the thing. Thank you for your response has been recorded, just like the first time we did it. And you'll also get a copy of your actual results. If everyone could please go in now and do this themselves. So you're going to go in and you're going to score for the flavor of ice cream, please. And Johnny, you can go ahead and make sure butter pecan is your number 1.
Chelsea, you're gonna like deliver each of us a pint of the winner, right?
Let me tell you, a pint.
I second that.
I mean, you all deserve your free favorite for like the next year. You know what? In fact, I'm gonna write Ben and Jerry's. They're for social justice, and I'm gonna be like, Mr. Ben, Mr. Jerry. Let me tell you, I got some social justice community leaders. Can we get them ice cream? So yes, fill it out for real for number 1.
No, now you started something because there's Michael's, there's Chocolate Shop, there's
You're right. You're going
Babcock.
local. Yep, you're right. The local business. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right, Glenn. You got to stay local.
Hmm.
Right, we're up to 9 responses. So I think there's just maybe 1 person or 2 people who haven't done it yet. If you're finishing up, because oh, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, just while we're finishing up, I might suggest just something that could help avoid any flubbing when it comes to the real thing. If you have a notepad or a text software application or text editor, whatever, Word document open, it might be worth just jotting the names down before you fill in the bubbles, and then you can just transport your written list down. Because I think once you start moving those bubbles around, it's like, okay, wait, did I have a second one? No, I want to move that to 3, but then that makes this one go. So I think it would be wise to harden it on just in written text somewhere first before you transport it to those bubbles. Just a thought. You don't have to, but it might save you a pain.
It's a great idea, especially when I think about Lindbergh, who has 21 and Chavez has 16. So yeah, it's a lot of scrolling and trying to keep it organized. All right, so we've got all of our responses in. And so this is when we would go to recess. I would then pull up the responses. And then Dan and I would finish the finalization process. So what I'll do right now is I'm going to share screen with you all so you can see what it looks like on my end. But a reminder for the actual vote, I will not be sharing screen as far as where people voted. So right now, all right, you should be able to see what then I get on my end. And I'm able to see, so for Black Cherry, you can see as far as which choice it is. And then each one of those choices are going to be tied to a numerical value. And then that's how we'll get the score for who ultimately is the winner. And so for practice purposes, I wasn't going to add everything up and then we would celebrate whatever it is and go into the top four. Also knowing that I want us to be able to focus on the real vote tonight and making sure we have enough time for discussion. I will definitely be adding it up though later to figure out the ice cream treat. But are there any questions as far as what you just experienced now, knowing you're going to be doing the exact same thing for the top 8 and the top 4 with the names? All right, and I'll just also flag, so I can also see, so the public knows, so like Dan voted twice because he tested it out for me earlier. Thank you, Dan. And so if anybody were to accidentally vote twice, I'm able to go in and I would not consider if someone had done it for 2 votes. So I just want the public to know that we are able to make sure and monitor that everyone does it correctly. All right, okay. So with that, Chair, we can go into the actual round 1 voting spreadsheet if you feel like we're ready.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about just the mechanics of how that's all going to work and how it's scored? For those of you who are familiar with ranked choice voting, which has gained popularity in the last decade, this isn't quite that, and so this is a slightly different scoring system. I don't know, Chelsea, were you going to get into the specifics and then talk tiebreaker specifics, or are you just planning to um, motor into the vote?
I mean, we can go into more specifics. I did have it right there on the agenda, but we can talk through it. And so,
Oh, sorry, yeah, that is right there. Sorry, I jumped past
no,
it.
it's okay. It's okay. I just want to make sure I'm happy to do whatever you think is best, Chair.
No, I
We're at,
think I think
we're
that's
at
okay.
6:37 right now. So part of me
Yeah,
was also thinking maybe we don't go into detail about tiebreaker unless we need to, but it is right there in the agenda for everybody to see the process.
I think that's wise. Yeah.
Okay. And then also I do have my own master sheet to help me with the final vote ranking. I'm going to put that in the detailed agenda and just link it in there. So I know I quickly described what it was, but that was a quick description. And so I'm going to add that where it says, I'm at the bottom of page 6 where it says board account. I'm gonna do a dash and just put scoring guide. And I'm going to link in my document. And then that's how you're going to see how we're attributing the numbers to the actual ranks to then get our total sum for what the ranking would be. Okay. So once you all go into the vote and then we go into recess, if you want to look over that, and if you have any questions, happy to answer those when we come back from that vote. All right, and then I'll also just drop it here in the chat in case you don't want to scroll through our agenda, which is now up to 127 pages. All right,
Cool.
there's
So
the scoring guide. Okay, go ahead, Dan.
yeah, so I just to kind of launch us officially then. So it sounds like we're ready to do a round one vote. Chelsea's going to drop the official Google form link into chat. From there, we'll do exactly what we just did with ice cream, but with school names and our official round one votes. And then we'll go to recess after that. So unless we hear any final comments, we'll get into round one.
All right, and it's coming to you now.
Okay. And Chelsea, are we allotting time, a specific time for this, or did you say you're just going to wait until we've received all the votes?
I'm happy to wait until we receive all the votes. I know people process at different speeds. If you wanted to have a time frame, maybe we're doing top 8 if we do 10 minutes and see where we're at from there, whichever you'd prefer, Chair.
Yeah, I'd say if votes aren't in by 6:50, 6:50 p.m., let's see who's missing.
Great. So what I'll do right now is I'm also putting the timer up on Zoom to help us to monitor the time.
Awesome. Happy voting. Chelsea, if you're talking, you're on mute, FYI.
Oh, thanks, Dan. I was saying feel free to go off video if you want while you're voting. And then if you're having any difficulty, please just unmute yourself and I'm happy to help you through it.
Chelsea, are you there?
Yes, I am.
I didn't get my form said response submitted, just like with the ice cream and all the prior votes, but I didn't get an email back.
Okay,
I,
your responses are recorded. Let
okay,
me see what, but Glenn, let
that's
me see what occurred there, and then I'm gonna send you your responses, okay?
yeah, that's I mean, I know what I put, but so you
Okay.
don't have to. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a flaw in the system.
Yes, thank you. Let me look at the settings right now.
Sure.
Got it. Stephanie, I see yours as well. I'm gonna look at my settings. Oh, I see. Send responders a copy of the response. Somehow that was not clicked always. But what I can do regardless is I'm still gonna send you all your votes just like I did for that first round. I'll make sure you get your individual votes. Even if you did write them down yourself, I'm still gonna send them to you. Let me make sure the second round is already. I thought I got everything that's it always. Okay, so the second round is definitely set up for that. Okay. And so during the recess, I'll also work on that and I'll get them sent to you so you have them in front of you as we go into the discussion for the round two as well, everybody.
Hey, Chelsea, I got an error message initially when I clicked submit, but it went
Mhm.
through the second time around and I did
Same.
get a
It
response.
Same.
worked. Yep, I saw it for you. Yes. Go
Okay.
ahead, Dan.
Yeah, same. I'm guessing it's you made a change to the form because I also received an email, so I think we're
Yep,
good.
that's what I made the change to get the email after what Glenn told me. Yep. Okay.
We're good then.
All right. So, yep, I do have your responses as well. And then let me just double check. All right, confirming I have scores for Bruce, Stephanie, Jaya, Johnny, Ashley, Glenn, Dan, and Kemi. I have your responses. So at this time, we'll go into recess. I'm gonna send everyone their scores that got the message that they didn't get it. And then I'm gonna work on the rankings with Dan, and then we'll set 15 minutes right now on the timer for recess. And if for some reason we need to go longer, I'll let you know, but we should be good with 15 minutes. Okay, everybody? All right. All right, Dan, I'm gonna send us to a breakout. Actually,
I'll be back in like 1 minute. You can get all set up, okay?
that's fine. You know what? Actually, Dan, I'm not gonna send us into a breakout. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make this spreadsheet now. I'm gonna
Okay.
share it with you because even if we go into a breakout, that's recorded too.
Perfect.
And so I'll share the spreadsheet and then I'll have you double check my work. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Dan, I'm going to share a document with you in which I'm organizing the top 8
Cool.
so that you can see them in a much easier way than the spreadsheet.
Sounds good.
Not pressured speech is what I meant. I know it doesn't say not, but that is exactly what I meant.
When did you see this that you noticed that did not say not?
I don't care what it says. I know what I meant.
Dr. Cutts got see today, Kevin Reddington, especially towards the end. It must have been the 5 hours of the testimony that made her look absolutely. In addition, the number one thing that made her look not credible today was the fact that her medical records were completely insufficient. There were plenty of things that she did.
Tammy, your audio is on, just for the record.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Good.
Dan, I shared the document with you.
Okay. Okay. I'm seeing a 2-page document.
Yep, but just focus on the first page.
Okay.
Because you all have the shortest list. And so that's where we land in our top 8.
Okay.
So 5 is a tie.
Okay.
Yeah, two schools have the exact same number for number 5. And then from there, I'll go through and determine which ones had more number ones was our next way for that tiebreaker
Okay,
between those two schools. So I'll do that next.
cool. That means Gaylord Nelson will be pushed out of the top 8.
Mm-hmm. So between the two, interesting. Okay. Let's see who's got more. 6, 1, 7. Right. So then it would be all right, Dan. So then that's where we land as far as between those two that were a tie. Neither one of them got 8, but Lucia Nunez got 7, where Dejo had no 7s.
Okay.
Based on our tiebreaker clause. Okay.
Good.
So there's our top 8 for now.
Will you give me just the last minute here, real quick?
Of course. Or more than a minute too. I want to double check that we've absolutely got this right.
Yeah, if you give me, actually, yeah, why don't you set the timer for 2 minutes here? I just want to do kind of a last scrub through everything just to make
Yep.
sure I match
So
what you.
anyone who's back, we are extending the time. So if you give us a couple more minutes, we're just double checking your work.
Okay, my audit matches your results, Chelsea. So I think we're set to present and resume the meeting here.
All right, how exciting.
Once we like to thank the Academy.
That sounded like appropriate music.
That is so good that Zoom uses that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It says so right?
Yeah.
All right. So everyone. Oh, before we do that, actually give me 5 more minutes because I need to send the people who did not get their results. I want to make sure you get that now. So 5 more. I need to get that sent to everybody now for the discussion. That'll be a quick copy paste.
Okay.
Hey Dan, I'm still here. This is just taking a while because I've got to separate everyone's out. That's why I'm making sure round two, everyone just gets their sheet automatically.
Okay. Is there a reason I'm just if this is I mean you might be almost done.
I am. Yep.
Okay.
I'm almost done. All right, we shall be back. And did everyone get their score sheet from me? Seeing some thumbs up. If you did it, just unmute yourself. All right, and then I made sure that the second round, it just automatically goes to you all because you see how tedious that is. All right, so with that, Dan, did you put something in the chat for me? I think I missed it.
Nothing important, Chelsea.
Okay. Okay, and so Dan, do you want me to show them the list as is?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do
Okay,
it.
got it. All right, everybody. Ready for the drum roll? For real this time. Okay. Window open, right window. There we go. Okay. And here we are. Share screen. Here are our top 8 in order. I'm also going to drop it in the chat if it's too small for you.
Okay.
And so number 1 right now with the most votes was Ada Deer. Number 2 was Stephanie Bernard. Number 3 was Jeffrey Clay Erlinger. Number 4 was Capital View. Number 5 was DeJope. Number 6 was Lucia Nunez. Number 7 was Freddie May Hill. And number 8 was Harriet Tubman. Those are your top 8 out of your 10. And then I also dropped it in the chat if it's easier on your eyes for you to see it. Stephanie, I'm doing that right now.
I think maybe just switch it. Oh, you
I
did.
did, yeah.
With
My
delay.
automatic settings
Thank you.
always shuts it down. Yeah, no, thank you. All right, so yep, it should be popping up for folks now if you hit refresh. And so the time right now is 7:19. And so our next step would then have to have discussion around these top 8. And then we'll go into our round 2 of rankings in which you would rank your top 4. Then we would do the same thing. You'll automatically get your scores. I'll then go through the rankings with the chair, and then we would reveal the up to top 4 and then do a final vote after discussion as far as what you all would want to be submitted to the board. And with that, I hand it to you, Chair.
Yeah, real quick question that might inform our conversation. Can you remind the committee, our four uh, nominations, will they be presented in a 1 through 4 order, or will it be okay? So this is the one that scored highest. This is one we most recommend, second, third, fourth. Okay.
I am doing that because there's ones that overlap. So that is my plan. And I think that will help the board to make their decisions.
Okay. Very good. Well, then let's open the floor. We've got 8 names here ranked in scored order.
Oh, you know what, Chair? Let me pause and say this.
Mhm.
Let me confirm with the secretary, with the board secretary. And I say that because in the past, they just got the names. They weren't ranked.
Okay.
But that was because they did one school at a time, right? So if anything, I think my options will be, and I'll confirm this with everybody, I'll send you an updated email. It will either be I do all the rankings or they'll get a smattering, but the ones that are shared across schools, those will be ranked. So they'll know where they ended up and within the line to help our board. But I will confirm that with the board secretary. All right, and I'm done talking now. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, it's worth mentioning that the board will make their own decision. They'll have their own vote, like us. They will consider the committee's input significantly seriously, along with the public input, and there will be opportunities for folks to speak at the 824 meeting. So that will, by no means, this isn't the top name doesn't necessarily mean this is the name of the school. Nor does it mean the fourth name won't be considered for the school. So I guess this is just to say that let's keep things feeling fluid here, and let's use a few minutes here to discuss. Does anybody have anything they want to say about the rankings that were just presented on screen? Does anybody need to see them again, or I don't know if there's a way to? Were they in chat? Is that right?
I have a
There.
question. Sorry to ask what seems to be like, I think I know what the answer is, but the members of the board who aren't present today, is there a separate like forum for them to vote, or do they just have to show up on the 24th to express any opinions?
So they already submitted their absentee vote.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't find this to be surprising. I think it's nicely in line with the comments and prior discussions and the criteria for selecting.
I agree. I'm not surprised by anything. I guess I don't know if there are like prompts to help us with. I mean, I feel like the prompts that we've had in the past are like anything surprising to you or um anything else to consider. I don't know what to say. But I feel like we should have a discussion, but I don't know like you know what I mean? Like I want to discuss this before we do another vote, but I don't know.
So what I can add to the conversation as just help with facilitation, Stephanie, is that and the rest of the group, right? Even though right now this is where we ranked in the top 8, I do want to know that there's still a range within those scores, right? So just because Ada Dare right now is right now number 1, it was not number 1 for everybody, right? Same with Steffi Bernard. I can go down the row, right? And so when we unveil our top 4, I'm not going to have them in order. It's just going to be our top 4. But I think this is a time where, folks are feeling strongly towards a name based on what they're hearing from the community. I'm wondering if the discussion is around that, then as far as knowing that folks are now going to go into our next one around our top 4, do you want to discuss any more of the names, right? So Harriet Tubman, for example, that was all over the place as far as people's different choices, right? This could be the conversation. Should something rise more to the top 4 or not? Just what people are feeling from either their experience as a neighbor, as a community member, what they're hearing from other community members, and then also as an employee of the school, right? Just trying to think about the community.
If I can express an opinion without, I don't want to sway people necessarily, but I think it's also important to share with the wider board. My son goes to Elvehjem, and I hadn't. I've heard about Stephanie Bernard through the years and seen the opportunity where we're renaming the school. Understand it's a person and a human that is being proposed as a alternative name to Conrad Elvehjem. But what I really feel strongly about is there are many people on the list who have had great achievements that have community impact and people impact. But as we look at the school community, the students, the faculty, the staff, having an instructor who dedicated her life to education, hearing from her daughter what her last meeting at the school was before she went into the hospital, and seeing the lasting impact of the Read Your Heart Out and just I have the best kid, I would say. His friends are great kids, but to have a school community that really have the next best generations of human with empathy and who care about equality and equity and really care about each other. I think a lot of that is attributed to the staff, the community, and then also like some of the impact that she's had on the school itself. So that's where I sit, having a child who's at LVM and an incoming 4K. I think there's value in really considering a person that's very tied to LVM, not just Madison, but LVM, and died, she died on the job essentially and worked to the very last moment. That is dedication to the next generation.
Thanks for sharing, Cami. Um, I think that's a fantastic thing to share. I just wanted to also ground any discussion that we have here because we've been saying that the policy is our North Star, and we really haven't maybe reviewed the policy in the insignificant. Okay, honey, we haven't reviewed the policy significantly, and so I just wanted to remind folks that what we're looking for is the name. Honey, I'm sorry, guys. Give me 2 minutes, okay? Okay. Yep, and then I'll turn another movie. I'm so sorry, guys. My wife's at band camp tonight. Okay. We're asking ourselves of the person or the place or the geographical um, um, thing of geographical significance. Honey, you need to leave. I'm so sorry. Honey. Okay, somebody else can speak. I have to handle this. I'm sorry, guys.
I'll take it from there. And Dan, she's happy to stay. One of our committee members in training, right? For the future. This is why we're doing it. She's gonna be one of our new kids, right? So I think if we think back to the rubric, remember how the rubric broke down as far as what it pertained to and what did not pertain to? So I'm actually gonna pull up the rubric and I'm gonna drop it in the chat for us just to look over it, because that's where, remember, the policy itself is like 4 pages long. But then the rubric, I really worked with the chairs to tie it to making it digestible for all of you as far as what we were prioritizing. So let me share the rubric with everybody again, if you just want to look at that. Again, as far as thinking about how we made our decision the first time and then informing us going into our decision the second time. And while I'm sharing that, please, Ashley, go ahead. I see you're unmuted.
I just wanted to thank you for dropping the rubric again, because going into it, I was pretty swayed one way. And then obviously I read the rules. You can't be biased. And having that rubric or curriculum, I think, helped me have a lot of integrity on what I was voting on. So I just appreciate the refresher on the guideline.
Oh, thank you.
I think you made my point for me. It sounds like you did. I just wanted to reiterate basically the policy's key language. That is, what is the significance to the Madison Metropolitan School District that we should choose this name? Basically, the key words being, what is the significance to the Madison Metropolitan School District? I think a lot of us maybe are glossing over that when we're it's easy to get lost in all these names, and I think that is a key. That's in all of the. It's throughout the policy. That is it's scattered in all of the.
Hey Dan,
Yeah.
can I make an anecdote? Can I make a comment?
Please, Bruce.
First of all, this is the first time I've actually got to be at the meeting, so thanks for making it really easy, Chelsea. It was easy to follow along and get through everything. I just wanted to comment about the suggestion of Jeffrey Clay Erlinger. I'm not actually from Madison originally, but I've lived here for about a decade now, and I had no idea that he was from Madison. I just remember distinctly, seeing him, as everybody probably remembers, being on the Mr. Rogers Show, one of my favorite shows as a kid. And it really opened my eyes to, you know, people with disabilities, just helped me as a young kid understand that just because somebody's different, doesn't mean that they're this or that. It just means that they are who they are. And I just wanted to, it's probably, I think, my favorite of the remaining eight, just because, as I said, me not being from Madison, I had no idea he was from Madison until I joined this committee and I learned that. But I mean, instantly it reminded me of what I learned just from seeing him on the Mr. Rogers Show. So I just wanted to comment about that. The like the ties to the community. I think that is probably um, I can't think of the. I'm trying to make a point, but I can't think of the point I'm trying to make because I had no idea he was from the Madison area, and I'm proud to know now that I'm from here. My kids are from here. They'll be going to this school, so I would be proud that my kids went to Jeffrey Clay Erlinger School. So I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you, Bruce. And I think your point was made. And so I do have the rubric up. Let me share screen again and us just going back to the policy in a way that's digestible. And I'm glad Ashley said that that would help. So I'm just sharing screen, but I also dropped in the chat. So remember, as far as our first question, how well known or historically important is this person, place, or idea? So if it was a person, some of the questions we asked ourselves were, is this person widely known and remembered for their historical contributions under the board's rules? What makes them so special to Madison schools that we should pick them over other famous historical figures? For landmarks and places, is this landmark or place well established, recognized by local residents, and historically or environmentally important to our region? And then for ideas, virtues, and concepts, is this idea or virtue widely respected, long lasting, or deeply connected to great education and inspiring to everyone? And then the second question we considered when digesting the policy was the connection to the Madison community and educational value. So how strongly is this specific proposed name tied to the Madison Metropolitan School District? So for people, what is this person's unique connection to the Madison community that justifies choosing them over other people? For landmarks or in places, what educational learning or historical value does this local site offer to Madison students? And then for ideas, virtues, and concepts, how does this virtue directly align with the district's mission, represent students, and/or represent community values? So that was us taking that really long policy and making it more digestible when we did our first round of voting, where we had 55 names, right, in which we had to filter through. So again, just those guiding questions. Dan, do you want to continue with what you were saying about the policy? And also your little ones are happy to join.
No, she's just my movie's over. Put a new one on. Her sister's watching the credits, so yes. I mean, I think the point has been made. And I had opened up the policy 6700, which is the original document that inspired your rubric there. And I just wanted to kind of again remind myself before this meeting, even as I was thinking about this, yeah, what's being asked of us here per policy. Yeah. Any other discussion around any specific names, the mechanisms by which we're choosing these names?
I did just want to say, like, it's interesting to me. I feel like um, there's two sections here in the rubric, right? And I feel like with names like Ada Deer and Jeffrey Clay Erlinger, we're looking at, section one, they're really strong in the popular recognition, why being widely known and remembered for their contributions. And then I would say, at least in my opinion, for section two, they have less of a connection to MMSD, and that's where Stephanie Bernard has kind of that stronger connection there. So I just like just in thinking about the two sections or the two kind of pieces that we're trying to fit, none of them fit both sections perfectly. So thinking about, I don't know, which one is most important to you, or which one do you think you value more? I said my thoughts last week about Stephanie Bernard. I worked with her for several years and learned so much from her. She is just so deeply embedded in the Elvehjem community, but almost also MMSD. Read Your Heart Out is something that's been happening for I think it's over 2 decades now, or like 22 or 23 years across the district. Kemi, every time you talk, when you were talking about freedom schools for Michael this summer, like you, Ms. Bernard would have been there. Like
Yeah.
she did STARS, summer school STARS program at Leopold every summer. Even when she worked at Elvehjem, she went to Leopold every summer, to give African American students, Black students, an experience much like Michael had. So that to me, that feels really important, that connection that she had to MMSD and to our building, and how that spirit lives on in us as teachers, and her students who are kind of moving on to middle school. But even them, I think about, when they did Bernard's books right after she passed away, it was a huge community service project that I could see us taking on and doing again. Like it's just, there's so much that she built, that we continue and build upon. So
Yeah, not to like monopolize the conversation, but so well said, Stephanie, on your part. For me, I think we're now at the point where we've narrowed down the choices, and it has to go away from, I can argue against it's subjective if I look at the first part of the rubric, and I will pull it up just to make sure that I am not butchering it. Is this person widely known and remembered for their historical contributions? Not speaking against other humans, like we are proposing potentially naming after another human, which the community might oppose, given like you're changing one human name to the other, right? But really, where I feel like what's significant here, it's not just naming another human, it's extremely tied to MMSD, Madison, and the school itself, right? So it's like it hits that second part of the rubrics and the threshold. Ada Deer is great. A lot of people submitted her name. But for me, I would say as a Madisonian, what is the impact? Like, is it widely known? Not until doing the research for this, where I'm like, okay, what is the community tie-in? And then trying to pull in that MMSD aspect as well. Like, what is the experience? What is my current experience? What is the next generation experience, which is the kids going to LVM, my child, and what is like coming out of LVM as well that's influenced by the work, the education, and the impact outside of the classroom that the instructors had. So I will say what passes the red face test, if we have to go back to the community and say we're choosing one human name and changing Conrad LVM, is that tie to MMSD and the school and the legacy. To go back with a local Madison activist, something else, like that might give another pushback and kickback in the community. So that's where I am with that, is what will pass the red face test and what is like the current day impact and legacy, and how does it relate to MMSD and the curriculum.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Kemi.
And what I can add is just a reminder, it's ultimately the board who's making this very, very difficult decision,
Yeah.
right? And that's also why we're able to float up a couple names to them, right? To help them to weigh all of this. I'll also add, being a leader now for a long time, you do your best, but you're never going to please everyone. And we are a diverse community. There's diverse thoughts. There's some in our community where A to D is widely known, and there's others where it's not, right? Just like Stephanie Bernard, right? Just I can tell you through all the other names. It's been interesting. Seeing the students were the one who propelled Bell Phillips Memorial right? Like it's been very interesting to see the differences. Lori Main Carey, she was a local educator, right? And then we also have Ezekiel Gillespie, right? When we look at what the renamings have looked like in the last couple of years, they've been very community driven. Some have been more known in some circles than others. And we'll do our best with floating the top that you all deem, and then the board will make that ultimate decision.
Yeah, and I was just going to say it's relative, but how we define local impact, right? And then how does it
Yes.
tie into the rubric, which is
Yes.
the second part really distills it down in something more objective versus subjective.
As in our chair meetings, we've had many a conversation around the word prominent and what does that really mean and to whom,
Yeah.
especially when we look at the history of our country, the present. Are there some better words we could even be thinking about moving forward? Yes. It's been interesting to digest.
Yeah.
Ashley, you had your hand up. Did you have something to contribute?
Yeah, I just wanted to say this is exactly why I appreciate the rubric and all the opinions, because before I started this, I hadn't heard of probably a quarter of the names. I've never really heard of Stephanie. I've heard of Read Your Heart Out, and it's great, but I've never personally heard of her. No one brought her up. I have heard of Gaylord Nelson. It's been brought up before. There's lots of schools. There's lots of things brought up about environmentalists. It's great, but equally, we need to remember we need to not be biased, and we need to not let our personal emotions and feelings get a hold of us. We should not be voting versus based on religion, race, gender, anything like that. We need to strictly be voting off of the guidelines.
Thanks for sharing, Ashley. Anybody else? Okay. Chelsea, do you want to head into round two?
We'll head into round two, and then as a reminder, everyone, just because with that last round, you did see where they ended up within the rankings, there was variance as far as where folks picked those as their choice. So think of this next slate, you're going to see what was the top 8. You'll come up with the top 4 and be informed by this conversation. And then as you continue to review things, and it's coming your way, dropping in the chat now.
We are ranking.
And we'll do your ranking, your top 4 out of the 8, and you'll see that there's the 8 that are listed. You're doing it the exact same way. I'll put 10 minutes on the clock, and then we'll check in at 10 if anyone needs more time. And feel free to go off camera. All right, we have all the votes in. Did everyone receive a copy of their responses? Okay, great. So we'll go into our 15-minute recess in which I'll be doing the math with the chair and also counting in the absentee ballots. So 15. Oh, we're already at 7:54. Can we do, let's try 10 minutes for this one. This one should go quicker. Okay, thank you, everybody. Dan, I'm sending it your way now. I'm just holding in the absentee. Dan, it's ready for you to review.
Okay, having a look. I deleted the
No
link
problem. Sending
from
it
my
back your
tab.
way. Yep, no worries. Sending it your way now.
Oh, did you have a Google Doc though with the with presenting the final
I am.
portion?
I'm making that right now.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I
Yeah,
wanted to
I
double
got this. I got this spreadsheet. I'm all good.
got it. I just want to double check my math.
Perfect. Hmm.
And so Dan, this list will be just in alphabetical order.
Okay. That wasn't really what I was asking you. It's not a big deal. I meant when we were doing the scoring, it would have been nice if they were random so that you weren't influenced.
I understood what you're asking afterwards. I was like,
Yeah, it's all
oh,
good.
you should just
Oh.
been next Chelsea, pause.
Do you have a tiebreaker in this one?
We did.
Yeah.
And then I went based on our tiebreaker rules. So it was right if you look at columns E and I back in the spreadsheet.
Columns E and I.
I'll highlight them for you.
Oh, of course, I
It's all right. I'll put it back at the top of your box.
my tabs. Yeah, no, I can find
No
it.
worries. Too many windows. I know.
Yeah,
Story of
exactly.
my life.
Okay. Cool.
And that's where I'll let the board know what the order is if we see overlap across the other final lists.
Okay. Yep. That's exactly what I'm having on mine.
Okay.
Yep. The tiebreaker.
So
Perfect.
then I can actually I'm gonna bring folks back now if you're around. I know we had a minute left, but we're actually done with our ranking and we're at 8:03 and I want to be super respectful of your time. I know I'm on the edge of my seat too with these primaries to see what's gonna happen for our state, right? All right, and so with that, you all, I'm going to share your top 4 in alphabetical order. So they are not in the order of their of the overall ranking. It's just the 4. And then what will happen is if there are overlaps in names with the other schools, then I'll let the board know what those rankings are and you all can know what those rankings are. But I will not give a ranked list to the board because ultimately it's their decision. Okay. So here we go. Here are at this time the 4 names for recommendation to the board. So we have, and it's the same spreadsheet. I'll put the spreadsheet in your chat again. So we have Ada Deer, Capital View, Jeffrey Clay Erlinger, and Stephanie A. Bernard are your top 4 names.
That's in just a, sorry, I might have
Alphabetical order. Yep, that's all. Yep. It's not rank order, it's just alphabetical order.
I'm personally happy with the list. I think there's some good choices for the final decisions. Also, I wanted to thank Gail for all of her research. And even Stephanie, you narrowed down, you were throwing out schools that already had similar names. So thank you for that.
And so this is a perfect segue into the next piece as far as discussion on if you want all four to go up to the board or if you want it to be 3, 2. It's up to you all.
I think four, I mean, we've been kind of working toward a final four. I don't see any reason to abandon that path now. And sorry, I might have missed it because my girls were banging on the door. My wife just got home. But when we present this to the board, is there any scoring attached, any ranking attached? You probably already said this. I just want to be crystal clear. And then is it going to look different than this?
So the only ranking that will be attached is once I go through Lindbergh and Chavez. So right now, Ada Deer and Jeffrey Clay Erlinger are across the other schools. So for those two names, if those also show up on the other list, I'm going to let them know where those ranked within all the lists to help them to make a decision. As far as other rankings, no. So for example, if no one else picked Ada Deer, then it doesn't matter what it was ranked, right? But for everyone else, no. I'm gonna double confirm all this again with our board secretary as I'm working with her. We've been working on it as we're going because this is our first time doing more than one school at once. But as of right now, there would be no ranking shared unless there was a shared name across schools.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
And then what you would see is an alphabetized list for the other ones, like I've done throughout the whole process, from the namings to the public hearings. It's always been an alphabetized list.
Okay. I just want to be sure that we're not discarding basically any of the work that we've done, getting to this, coming to a proper ranking. If we shared an alphabetical order, we're now biasing them in alphabetical order. We'd prefer if they'd be biased by our scores because we front loaded a lot of the hard work. So I just want to make sure that at least there's I don't know what the policy is. At least we're going to hear from the board on what they want before we do deliver, just so we're not. Yeah.
Well, follow-up question for that then, Dan. Are you saying that you would like the board to know what the scores were? Because if you would, I'm happy to, I have them, right? So I'm happy to provide that. I want to double check with the board secretary as far as that, but I'm happy to provide it if that's what I'm hearing from the group.
Those scores reflect the culmination of all the work we've been doing here for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
I think it's incomplete to simply send the four to say that, here's our four. I mean, it's nice, it's great. It's not enough, I think, because we have done all the work to get a ranking and a score out of this. That's my feeling. Feel free to push back anybody.
Yep. So let me do this then. I know when they've been sent to the board before, it's just been like, here are our names. Hearing the feedback though, that you would like regardless if they're shared names or not, you would like the board to know where they did fall within this group, knowing you all worked so hard on all these names. Let me just check with the board secretary. I can check with her first thing tomorrow morning, right before the Lindbergh vote, because I've got them at 9 a.m. because that will help that group too. And then I can let you all know right away if that is a way to move forward.
I would definitely agree with that. And also, I'm for, more options is probably better in a situation like this. So I would agree with all four names as well.
Chelsea, this is Gail, who doesn't have a camera. It's from what I remember, the renaming committees that I was on before, they did rank them. They did come up with the top choice and all. But if that's my recollection, Ezekiel Gillespie was number one and Val Phillips was number one and Lori Mancari was number one. But that's my recollection, so I could be wrong.
Oh, no, not wrong at all, Gail. I think things have. No, I don't think you're wrong. I'm just gonna double check. So that's what I'll do, right? I don't think anyone's wrong here. I think these are all great ideas. And so what I'll do is, so what it sounds like to me, we can go to a final vote though, as far as these are our four. We can do that, Chair, knowing that it's 8:09. And then I'm going to follow up with our board secretary as soon as I can tomorrow morning, as far as can the rankings still go forward to the board? And as soon as I have that answer, I will be sending you all an email letting you know if it is or if it's not, but I'll also make it clear to the board secretary to relay to the board that this is something that the committee also desires. Okay.
And just to add on, I think you have a good process in place for guiding like these board members through the selection process. It would be beneficial once you hear from the board, maybe to have a uniform protocol for other renamings. Where are we sending it with the scores? Are we not?
Yeah.
It would be good to have like a standard work or process around that.
Yeah, because
It feels like that's
ultimately,
missing.
yep, because ultimately, and this is what I'm talking through in my head. If we were to send a ranking and say this is number one, then the board wouldn't make a decision because that is the number one. So that's how it could be interpreted, right? So that's where I want to double check and make sure, because I know when the other associate superintendents have brought names forward, they're like, here are your choices, right? And so I agree, Kemi, that yes, and I'm going to make sure it's standard and just widely known moving forward. And also, I think it's something that feedback's a gift. So I think there's also value in like hearing that this is a committee too. You all are the first committees that have had over 50 names, right? So I understand what you're saying too.
And if the board did not want the names to be submitted with ranking, do they have procedures in place for handling tiebreakers? And in the case where we just submit 4 names without rankings, would tiebreaker scenarios take into account the
So
board, our rankings in terms
yeah.
of like the top 4?
So we don't have any of that in place because they've never done more than one school at once. So I'm building out that entire process, and then working with the board secretary, who's working with the board president. And then I'm actually reviewing the process with the chairs too for feedback. So there is no process at this time. I'm building that out.
And that'll be built in place before the 24th, well in
Yes.
advance of the
Yeah,
board meeting.
I already have a draft of it, and then from there, the board secretary will work with the board president.
Okay. It'll be helpful if that's shared with us as well, how
Oh,
tiebreakers are
oh,
addressed and
100%.
handled.
Absolutely. You all will
Yeah.
definitely, you and the public, like it will all be known.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Okay. A lot of this stuff is kind of forward looking, and it sounds like our work here is done pending a vote here. So I guess
I would I would just interject to say that yeah, I think the last few minutes of conversation is, our board determinations in terms of what we can learn, what needs to be ranked, what doesn't. But I think that we really made kind of quick work of it because we all took it seriously. We really applied the rubric. I certainly did in those first 55 names. It was so hard to get through those. But that got us to 10 solid choices, now down to 4 that I think we can be proud to put forward, every single one of those names. And I would say, job well done.
second that, Glenn. Okay. Well, I'll now entertain anybody else. Final comments?
I'll make a motion to forward these 4 names onto the MMSD Board of Education.
Beautiful. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. All in favor of submitting the 4 names alphabetically: Ada Deer, Capital View, Jeffrey Clay Erlinger, Stephanie A. Bernard, to the Board of Education as presented? Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous on my screen. Any objecting? Abstaining? Okay. Great. Hearing nothing else, the motion passes unanimously. Thanks, everybody.
All right,
Wow.
congratulations, committee. Congratulations. Awesome. Okay, so with that, just I'll quickly go over our updates and our homework because I know that we're over time. So thank you, and thank you to your children who are waiting, or your partners who are waiting for relief. Okay, so with that, upcoming timeline and key dates, I'm towards the top of page 9. Those are the dates coming up as far as where I'll be having finalization packages. I'll also be adding to my to-do list, following up with you all as far as what the board decision is among rankings being submitted, and then also the final process. And then towards about the middle of page 9, as far as your homework, please continue to get the word out that folks can continue to do public comment and written statement all the way up until the 24th. The meeting on the 24th, feel free to attend if you'd like to in person. It's in the auditorium. It's not something that's mandatory, and or you could just watch it too on the YouTube channel as it will be live streamed. I am going to check though if chairs need to be present because there might be some back and forth there. And then please continue to direct people to the renaming website where updates will be published like this list. And then I will, my homework is to continue to update you around the things you've requested and then any other new information. And that's all I have, Chair.
Awesome. Anybody final words? Okay. What a pleasure. What an honor and a pleasure. A couple months with y'all. Yeah, I think we did great work, everybody. So I guess hearing no other comments, 8:15, we're going to officially adjourn.
Thank you. See you on the 24th.
Yeah, see y'all there.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. Ashley, dinner came out okay?
Yeah, I'm struggling to leave